Greetings and salutations. Sammy has his peanut butter. I apologize for the background noise. I had a pair of old headphones that I was going to use, but it says this device isn't supported. It has the right adapter, it has the right plug-in, but whatever. We deal with that a lot in this world, and yet we're told that what the machines say comes first. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of waking up. And I was just looking at something I thought I had lost. It is not in the title. I didn't put it in the title, but it's a nifty little segue. So I want to say that this will probably be a regular edition. I do it here and there sporadically when I hear a song and it hits me like, wait a second, that's true, or that's weird. I've started to pay really close attention to that truth detector, that truth meter we have inside. That's why they say that rings a bell, because it rings a bell within you. It resonates within you. And so, yes, in that way, we can feel if something is true or not true. That is not to be confused with our feelings or emotions. We have a lot of words doing double and triple duty here, and that's also by design. So it's a neat topic, and all the other videos on this in this series will not be this long. They will probably average 5 to 10 minutes. There's a few on a playlist already, Truth in Music, but I wanted something a little more organized because that's what the algorithm likes, and this is something I can do ahead of time. They're nice little nuggets, snippets, hors d'oeuvres to go with the live streams. So I figured I would start it out with a live stream that will be longer than the subsequent videos, okay? So just understand that they're not all going to be this long. Let me turn the comments on, since that's always an issue. I like to do that when the video is running. So this is Lucifer, I do believe. I don't know if that's the title or if it's called Fallen Angel. But we're going to do double duty here, as we always try to do on the channel. And we're going to look at a few different things at the same time. I want to show you how I searched this out and why I chose these terms. Now, in the future, the songs that I do are songs, like I said, that I hear out of the blue that resonate with me. But at the same time, if I want this to be scheduled and algorithm friendly, then I need to pick songs in advance. And I did it the same way we did the trending terminology when I did the search of sacrifice when all this began. And I told everybody that this was what was happening. I'm going to do a shorter video on that later, just a confirmation video for anyone that wants to see it. With a little bit of visual evidence that I believe follows that up nicely as well. So, as usual, the disclaimers are in the description box. None of this, when I go to the songs, those are not my own material. We will not be playing the songs. We will simply be looking at the lyrics. But because of the public's fascination with fallen angels, especially since the Book of Enoch went global, and I say that on purpose. It's funny because in catechism, I wasn't really taught about them per se as like a group of entities. Of course, we were taught about the fall of Lucifer, but we didn't hear a lot about fallen angels, and now it's everywhere. And there's part of that I don't like. Yeah, as a rule, anything that trends, I steer clear of, because that's being pushed on the public with an agenda. But I think the agenda here might be, one, to get people to conform and show humans how lowly we are. Two, because these beings want or need worshipped in a sense, because it's a symbiotic relationship here. And I do believe they're like human beings, that there are good ones and bad ones. And I don't want to get into that right now. But I found a really cool resource that I thought I had lost, but I still have. So we're going to segue into that. It is a RPG game, a role-playing game, like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's Nephilim. And we're just going to read it. We're not going to actually play it. but we're going to read the books because there's a lot of interesting things when you actually read stories about the fallen ones. There are neat little things tucked in there that I've found to be true. I've tested and I found to be true. So I'm going to show you that as well. Little girl, lay down. Oh, she's being naughty. I apologize. My bad. All right, so we're going to dive into the search that I did. It's a little early. I didn't expect anyone to really be here. But I don't want to ramble for too long because the topic itself, I found a lot of songs. So what I did in this was I went ahead and did a search. Now again, it's not always going to be that way, but some of them will be that way, and I'll tell you that in the video or in the description. Like, hey, I looked this up ahead of time, or hey, I happen to be doing this, and this song came on. You know, what a synchronicity, you know, check out these lyrics. So the other videos, the subsequent following videos, I imagine will be 5 to 10 minutes long or thereabouts. And I do believe that you don't have to be in a Christ-like or a Christian type of paradigm to learn from the channel's contents, to learn from the fellowship that we have here. Little girl, the fellowship that we have here. And also so I can learn from you guys and we can share all of our little puzzle pieces or our unique perspectives. That's it. Our unique perspectives, and have a fuller picture of what is happening, because sometimes we miss the forest for the trees. But we will be delving into other ancient texts and different things. But again, this has went mainstream. And personally, I want to know when that happened and why it happened. But in looking up these songs, I got some pretty wild results. And they're not new. They go back, again, like everything else, quite a ways. Seems to be our generation that was just not really taught about these things. Again, I get the feeling that we are, in a sense, some type of experiment. And I don't mean that in a, well, you can do with that as you will. Again, it's funny how you can write books about these topics, metaphysical topics, and quantum physics and synchronicities, and people can make millions of dollars and become gurus. But then there's others of us who go from doing very well to doing horribly within the system and moving within this world once we start speaking truth. And I believe that is because with every denomination out there, with every guru or big teacher out there, they each seem to have one spot of error. And each error is different. So no matter who you go to or who you listen to, you're never going to get the full concept of the gospel. Now, it is said that even a child could understand it. So I do believe that as well. At the same time, it's very simple, right? It's very simple, but it's hard to relay these concepts to people because most people, again, to wake a sleepwalker can be dangerous. And I found that to be true of those who are subconsciously sleeping. Their subconscious is asleep, and you know, that NPC type of behavior. And again, I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence against any group or blanket statements or stigmatizing any one group. I told you a couple of years ago that it was made known to me through the Holy Spirit that homelessness was one of the goals of this, and that they were going to they're instigating the public, and they were going to reopen these insane asylums. And we did a search on that word a couple videos ago, and I showed you that God is talking to a lot of us and warning us of what is going to happen. Now, I have remained in the same place purposely. That doesn't mean that's what everyone is supposed to do. But you cannot say that you were not warned or someone did not try to talk about these things. And some of us talk about these things at great risk. But I wanted to present some of this in a more fun manner. So let's get to it. What I did was, and I found a really cool resource. I looked up songs with the words fallen angels in them because of our fantasy, or what is the word? Because of our symbiotic relationship with these beings. For those people who believe that these are real beings, that they are in existence, sentient beings alongside of us. So I wanted to do the first video, the intro, on these terms and find out how many songs or what songs out there or how interesting the lyrics were with songs containing the words fallen angel. Now let me be clear, a lot of the more well-known ones, the pop ones, I eschewed immediately. I will not go to those. Everybody knows them. This is again to bring out hidden things and to show you things that maybe you've not been exposed to before, right? Like, I don't advise listening to death metal. I see what it does to people around me. They think it's great. They think that their lives are doing good and they've never been doing better, and that's the music even plants grow to, and none of those things are true. None of them. But you can't tell these people anything until they're ready to wake up on their own. And some of these people already knew this. And I believe we had a mass ascension of spirits, or something happened in 2017. A mass, as I've said before, musical chair of the souls, soul swapping, something happened. And we are open about talking about what that is on this channel. And I'm not going to shut the channel down because people ridicule me or make videos about me. I did that once, but I did it in an experimental way as well, and it hurt. Some of the things that were taken away from the channel because of that, I did not know that was going to happen. But for some of it, those who needed the messages, I believe, received them. And we're seeing a lot of it play out now. So after 3.5 years, and the importance, I guess, that the fallen angel concept and being itself, the role that it has in my personal testimony, let's check out what songs are out there and what artists are pushing this paradigm, this worldview. It's funny, all these people who say they don't believe in God or what have you talk about the other side of things all of the time, and people don't like that this place is binary, but for now it is, and they just don't want there to be a good and evil. I see that as going backwards. I think when we ate from the tree of knowledge, it had to happen. That's my personal point of view. I think it was allowed to happen. I think it ignited and sparked our free will, because before that we were just like robotic, you're right? So synthetic droids. That's my opinion. Now, if I get more information, maybe that personal opinion will change, but I do believe again that when I pray and meditate, I actually receive answers from God, and I don't believe that it's V2K or anything like that, because it's not an audible voice. It's a voice in my heart, and it goes along with how I know God to be. And yes, it goes along with most scripture, but again, I feel like people have given God a bad voice, and I think they're serving the wrong God. And I pray for Paul Washer. He's going through something right now, but I showed you a video showing that he was in the Black Eye Club. I have a theory that everyone who, quote unquote, died on the table or experienced an NDE was infused with a different spirit, that perhaps their spirits were ready for their light bodies. Maybe some of you would call this a rapture. I don't know. But that is why we were going to look at this topic. Good. Oh, hello. Greetings and salutations. Nice to have you here. Thank you for the thumbs up as well. That's nice of you. Little girl, I'm going to take you out of here and put you away while I do this. If you don't sit down and be nice. Boy, these little ones, I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe it's a lesson from God, and she has the name. I have my great-grandmother that I used to use in another life. And not literally another life, when I was a dancer. That was the name I used, was Daisy. I went over all this. If you're new here, this is my good, I hope this to be my good works, is to shine a light on these things, because once you expose a certain spirit to things, It is cowardly. It will run and hide. Lucifer, Satan, whatever, does not want you to know that it is real. It does not want you to know there is a good and evil. That is the God of ignorance that would prefer we do things by force. But he knows that he cannot do that either. So I believe we are tested, and our tests turn into our testimonies. So please feel free to share your testimony as well. So songs with the terms fallen angels, and what did I find? Well, I got a list on this lyrics.com, okay? And I'm going to click on it. And again, this is just to help some people who might not know how to search. Not everybody is a computer whiz. I know the younger generation, that's all you do. You're on the computer a great deal of time. That is new. It hasn't always been that way. And even me, I took my kids out. I took them fishing. We did things. Took them swimming all the time. We cooked out. Their birthday parties were outside. But still, people have to learn on their own. So what did I find? Well, please ignore the ads. Again, I thought this was a decent resource. It's a good place to start because it doesn't have all the verses or all the lyrics of a song sometimes. So I did have to open a couple other apps, and I'll show you that in a moment. And I found some very interesting songs. And as I was saying earlier, you know that some of the books that I've gotten that have these topics in them, if you trace it back, if you go all the way down this rabbit hole and you look at the authors and the publishers and the publishing houses, they all have cultic names, or what would you want to call them? Demonic, angelic names, powerful, forceful words are being used in their company names and their branding and whatnot. Again, this is all part of spell work. Words can bind us, so we must be very mindful of how we're using them, especially right now, because I believe some of what is happening is God throwing up his hands and saying, okay, you want to be your own gods? Well, go ahead. And some of us are really manifesting things, and they're not all good. I think that's why it almost appears like people are even living in two different realities at times when you look at the media reports and the news reports. But again, that also comes from sitting in front of the computer nonstop and not doing the footwork of investigative journalism and actually going out and talking to the real people, because we have no idea in what way AI itself has interfered with things like our communications and our emails and our text messages. And a lot of us on Facebook were hacked. I saw people posting that all the time, hey, there's another account with my picture and my name. It is not me. And then that woman who took pictures of me that I thought was my friend tried to act like my image was hers to do with whatever she chose. And I had to set her straight on that. I have a right to post my own information. Slander is not just lies, people. It's also anything that defames a person's reputation. There are things that some people have paid for, that they have done their time for, or that they have paid restitution for in a spiritual manner. And yet people are digging things up from 10 and 15 and 20 years ago because it happens to be online. You didn't see a lot of that. Even in like the medieval Greek mythology, you would see that the little g gods had negative attributes, right? But it never decided for you. The authors never decided for us if something was good or evil. And that's always been a decision we should make ourselves, since our free will was ignited by taking of the fruit on the tree. So this gave us a list of the best matches, and then artists, and then lyrics. So it showed me a few lyrics, right? And then I pulled certain songs up that I thought were interesting. So I'm going to go there, but I wanted to show you this resource for if you wanted to do it yourself. It's a really interesting resource. The ads are kind of a pain in the butt. But it says we found 5,410 lyrics and 152 artists matching the terms fallen angels. And again, we're also going to look at this RPG game that I found, because there are some very wild stuff in here, and I thought it was a really neat addition. Again, not all of these segments will be this long. So I'm going to show you a few songs that I found that I thought were super interesting. And I've never heard of some of these people before. Now, this woman's name is Buffy Sainte Marie, and the song itself is called Fallen Angels. She was born in 1941. She's a Canadian Cree singer and songwriter. Notice the hand symbol that she's doing. It could be seen as rock and roll or the horns, and instead of them being upright, they're kind of coming at you. So that means a variety of things. I don't want to get into all that right now because I could get off on a whole nother thing. She is obviously still alive because there is no date of passing, and she is an indigenous girl. It looks like she started writing country as well. And what year? Does it give a year that this was? 1992. So this is called Fallen Angels. And again, I wanted to show the trend or the fascination and how, if let's be real clear about this warning. It's very easy to fall into some type of angel worship, and then you get into the whole thing that where John D and his partner went wrong. Things go bad when you think that you know more, or you can deal with beings who have more information than you do, and they understand how to use words in a more powerful and proper manner than we do. So we do need to be very careful, because they don't always have good intentions for us. Good video, thank you. It says, I got a man in the business line. Now again, if some of these verses might be a little off, that are from that actual resource, I did use a couple of different ones to get to some of these. We'll get there in a minute. So it says, I got a man in the business line. He power hungry. He's a money mine. Smooth as satin. He's a big time shark. Fallen angel. I got a brother. Oh, he mean a sin. He got a brother who's just like him. Living over in Moscow. Two of a kind. Pay attention here to what she gets into. How come the great power got the junky mind? Fallen angels. See, she's saying, how come these great powerful, these beings, these elitists, whatever you want to call those who control and run things behind the scenes. Remember, God is in control. But we're talking about the beings who are kind of over us, but they are, they've gone rogue, they've gone wicked, right? But they still have their principalities. So they still have greater power in certain areas of spell work, to be frank, and what do I want to say? Territorial wise, like geographically wise. I hope that makes sense. They never get enough. Okay, so they're saying now that these brilliant minds, these ones who could be so great, have minds like junkies. Okay, so think about what that means to you. What does that mean? They never get enough. They're always hungry. I can attest to my experience with an alleged fallen angel, someone who told me that he was, and no, it was not a hallucination. It was an actual person that we were friends with for a time. They never get enough, fallen angels. They got the addictions, fallen angels. They litter the skies, fallen angels. Don't you want to turn them around? Turn them around. And I'll also tell you, I eschewed any songs that were obviously love songs, like men calling women fallen angels or whatever. You're from heaven, this, that, and the other. That's not what we want to know today. We want to know where the fascination comes from, and we want to see if any truth can be gleaned, because God, the creator, the maker, and the other side uses people to speak through them at times with their consent. Somehow their consent is given for this, much like you see two players using chess pieces. That is our state. Now, I'm not saying that's bad or good. I'm saying it just is what it is. However, it doesn't have to be that way, I don't think. And I think, again, God is waiting for us to take the next step in our spiritual evolution to become more like Christ. And I have a theory on why certain people have certain health conditions as well, looking like almost like radiation poisoning. We're going to get into that, and it goes along with the teeth and all the stuff we've been talking about. Sorry, I just want to keep people up to date. So they litter the skies. What does that mean? The actual planes are fallen angels? Flying is an illusion itself, that it's just a show or a put on. I know that when I was a kid, I was taken to an airport once to say goodbye, but I was never allowed to go on the trip to France or the trip to New York or the trip to Washington, D.C. I was gaslighted by my mother, and my mom and dad played good cop, bad cop against me. One said no, the other said yes, one won. And so I never went and did all those things that all the other children did, which always struck me as weird. A lot of true TIs are not mobile and they don't drive. And the ones who do quickly are run off the road. In these times, things are very strange. They want us to be more robotic. They want us to go backwards, in my opinion. And I am not happy with that. I don't want to go backwards in that way. I want to spiritually progress, but yes, go back to some of the old ways, like the Native American Indians tried to teach us. So again, you have to have balance here in these things. Litter the skies, that could also be chemtrails. Anybody here? One person. I did start this early today. Fallen angels, didn't you want to turn them around? I got a man in the USA, so first Moscow, now the USA. He running guns with the CIA. Remember, this is a song lyric. I do not condone violence of any kind, but it is a part of our constitutional right to bear arms, and all of this is shared per the Fair Use Act of 1976. He's the best the being bad can be. Who'd think he'd do it all for me? What's it matter if you're green or red? Okay, always green. Green's always mentioned. We're going to get back into that as well. The Yankee dollar or the commie threat. So they're saying right there, that's what they mean by green or red. The Yankee dollar or the commie threat. When the real power in the real world gonna deny it all anyway, fallen angels. Meaning those who are actually in control and in power here in the real world, not in the false matrix, they would deny it anyway, because they're the fallen angels. They don't want you to know they're there. But they do want to have bodies and operate through them and procreate and help us, they think, advance physically. I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad. I'm going to continue with the video. They never get enough. They got the addictions. They litter the skies. Don't you want to turn them around? You believe in the system from the top on down. Potential is a beautiful thing. It's hard to keep believing in the big time. Now you're sinking in the wind. Starlight, star bright. Somebody going down tonight. Told the truth when it was time to lie. Got it right. Fallen angels. Yeah, somebody's going to go down. Why? Because they told the truth when they should have lied. Okay? How many of us can relate to that? Got it right? Fallen angels, they never get enough. And again, I can attest to that. And I've suspected for a long time there's some type of deception happening with travel and planes. So let's look at another song that I found. And this is called Fallen Angel by Chow Patel. And again, look at who produces or writes or performs some of these songs. And if you want to take this rabbit hole even deeper, dig into those people. You want to know why, what makes these people produce this type of music, right? So this is another song called Fallen Angel. Does it give us a year? It doesn't give us anything. This is probably self-published. It's only been looked at 2 times. Nobody is following that person. Makes you wonder who actually put it up, doesn't it? It says, devils never trust their powers because I am the one who's going to devour. I know that you're lower on the hierarchy maybe, like we talk about often. You're not good enough to become a destroyer. And if you're familiar with demonic echelons and hierarchies, you know that, and biblical scripture, you know that that's the destroyer is another word for the bringer of chaos, the harbinger of evil. I'm the one who is becoming stronger because I know that I am your master. You'll be my holder. For now, you will be gone until nothing is there. Fading skies are getting darker. Sounds like what we're dealing with. I'm not sure they're coming from anywhere. This whole world is going to tear. Sounds a lot like a CERN reference, or at least that's what it reminds me of or brings to mind for me. And again, please feel free to comment on what your thoughts are. I'm very interested in how other people see this too. That's how we learn, is by sharing. This whole world is going to tear. The people around has less of much care. I thought you're the one who would endure. She's going to buy mine until I will have more. With this emotion that I am going to store, it will give me a choice if I would live with gore. That's a little strange, all of that. She's going to be mine until I will have more. With this emotion that I am going to store. So he's storing something up to let loose. Keeping something feels so much to bear, but you're the only one who is feeling fear. I'm the one who will be here. No nuisances will have any share. You're still beautiful with all of your hair, but you still haven't even had a stare. Meaning nobody has noticed this being yet. Fallen angel is a property that will be shown with a glare. Okay, that's interesting too. And again, it sounds, I think this is almost like Wikipedia where people post songs and can change lyrics and stuff, because I have found different information on different sources. So that's one that you might want to look into if you look deeper at this song. Don't follow me if you have a mirror. That's really cool. We talked about mirrors being portals, but a double entendre, which again, this is how the world operates. Every word has a few different nuances. Don't follow me if you have a mirror. Meaning, look at yourself. You will be lost for a year. That sounds like a spell right there. This sounds like spell work. You can't survive with this flare. She is still coming near. Another one demonizing the woman. However, we know that some of them, like Lilith, do have feminine names, and it's not denied that they exist, but it is denied that there are female angels. Most times they are androgynous, but Father Ripperger says that each angel is almost like its own species, because every one of them has different, principalities and powers. You could say the same thing for human beings. We're all different shades, tones. Our voices are at different frequencies. Our minds are set at different frequencies. So in a way, we each are living out our own reality. But are we creating that, or is it created for us and made for us to refine us, much like a real life Truman Show, but maybe not in the same ways? Well, some of the same ways, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming video that's going to be called The Truman Phenomenon. And we've looked at that before. I got to take a little nip of the nectar of the gods here, my orange juice. Daisy, sit down. Nothing to be scared of. And I hope to be doing a face-to-face video for the Striving to be a Saint channel. That's going to be way different, and it's going to be pretty deep. It's going to be pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not going to be for beginners. So I would not subscribe unless you are very open to spiritual evolution within yourself and how you can do that yourself, and being your own hero in your own story. So you will be my fallen angel. You're going to be worse than hell. It's so hard for you to tell. You can't compel. Again, we're using a lot of spell work words here. And right there, that's saying to whoever they're speaking to, you can't compel. You can't make spells with your words. You still don't feel well. You will be my fallen angel. You're going to be worse than hell. It's so hard for you to tell. Destiny is going to be rising. I know that you're dying. You're not even trying. What is your purpose if you're lying? You're still not listening. You don't know what you're doing. You're not even looking. I'm sick of your talking. You're still sensual dealing. I'm not going to be choosing. I know that you're failing. You don't know where you're going. Her home mischief is now fading. She did all of her mistakes without even knowing. She should be the one, should be hearing, but I still don't know if she's not coming. This feeling is a sensation that I should be having. Nothing is coming back if you're not staying. Fallen angel is a property that will be shown with a glare. See, that verse there is very strange to me. And they repeat it, so I don't think it's an error. Don't look at me when you survive. And then we get into the chorus and the bridge again. Blanking yourself inside the room. The blood is flowing right by the tomb. The roses are lonely when it starts to bloom. That's a Rosicrucian reference. Roses are related to early Christianity. So our lilies, again, everything was God's first. Then you have that counterfeit, as above, so below, is true. Just because it's hidden doesn't mean it's wicked, and it doesn't mean it's not true. It just means you have to search for it. Like we are told in the scripture, it is God's way. It is God's way to conceal a thing. So we have to seek those things out. And this would be boring if there was no mystery. Let's be real. You're not going to bother if I'm going to assume feeling hopeless when you don't lower your volume. I see that you're not wearing your costume. You're the one that I'm going to presume. Presume, almost in that way, it would almost mean become. All right, let's check out the next one. And again, these are examples. In the future, these videos may not be organized like this. I might organize them instead of going by keywords. I will look for songs that have are about a certain color, right? All the songs about green, or all the songs about gang stalking, which I'm actually going to do soon here too as well. So if this is something you like, again, please offer feedback. Feel free to chat us up in the comment section and let me know what you think of some of these lyrics. So let's see who this one is by. A person called Jeff McCall. Says 0 fans. Again, if you click on the name, you'll have to see an ad, but come on now. Oh, don't do this to me. But I want to see this. Why are you doing this? Oh, good, it didn't. Sorry about that. You fell from heaven, that's what you'd have us all believe. Such inner beauty, your virtue lost for mortal sin. A bold deception, love eludes you just the same. Scorned and broken, you're my broken seraphim. Seraphim is a kind of angel. And again, we are told each kind with its kind. We're not supposed to hate each other. We're not supposed to be divided as a community, as a collective. However, we are each individuals, and our individuality is important. I don't believe we are supposed to go backwards in that way. But it is said that some angels began in an androgynous type of way. But we see a lot of references to she, just as many as there are to he. So I thought that was something to point out. And again, we're seeing these things mocked and manifesting in mocking ways, in a mockery type of way. But calling God like, father, he, she, mother, they, them, goes back to Genesis itself. And again, it's almost as if Scripture is manifesting in all these ways to make people aware of it that maybe aren't aware of it, and maybe subliminally affect them, like nature's own algorithm type of thing. I know that gets kind of metaphysical, and there is no proof for that, right? You can't do real scientific testing, but you can gather circumstantial evidence, which is kind of what we're doing here. Why are so many people writing about it if it's not true, or if they don't believe in it? Why has it had such an impact on our society as a whole, the Bible, over any other book or ancient text, right? If the Sumerians came first, why is that one not the more publicized one and in people's hands and family rooms and in hotel rooms? Again, I believe there's a reason they wanted people to have the KJV. I think there's something wrong with it myself. I know people disagree. I know there's these mini cults out there. I fell into fundamentalism for a minute. But I think that's what gives me an open mind about a lot of stuff, is I'm willing to look at it, right, and say, okay, does any part of this resonate? Is there any meat here? Or is it all bones? Would I spit it all out, right? Because just because truth comes from an uncomfortable source, it doesn't make it any less true. So you're my broken seraphim. It's a type of angel. I believe they had 3 faces. I I think 3, which, again, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, would allude to shapeshifters in a sense. So let's continue. Oh, fallen. Oh, and it's the type of angel that Lucifer was, allegedly. Oh, fallen angel, come tell me how you fell from grace. You're so divine. Will you ever be mine? And again, this is the thing. They're not always talking about women when they say fallen angel. They're not always meaning human women, okay? There are some people, some human beings, who are so fascinated by this topic and by these beings that they literally become infatuated with them. So you want to be careful of certain things like that. It reminds me of Twilight in a way, but I'm not saying that it's not possible, because believe me, looking at the topics themselves, you know, if you look and stare into the abyss long enough, like Nietzsche said, you can, then the abyss stares back. And it does. When you start recognizing glitches and glitches and things behind the scenes working, and kind of like the adjustment bureau, right? You can almost see the little beings behind the scenes working. They look at you too, right? And they notice you, and they don't want you looking at them. So, or they want to know why you see them, because not everybody is tuned like that to that frequency. Excuse me. So, I see through your masquerade and all the games that you played, my fallen angels, jaded living. Will you try to take me down? Or just rebellion? In your eyes, I start to drown. Do you feel compassion? Again, I've asked the same question. It's been said that our emotions fascinate demons and angels because they don't operate in the same way. So the ones who fall here, are they just infatuated with women in the way that we look? Are they not capable of that type of partnership type of love? Right? Or was Christ more to the point when he said we would all be like angels, like you're not going to have a partner? There is no other half for us to be completed with. That won't interest us. Or does it mean something else altogether? And again, I know this is being mocked. Gnosticism is really being mocked. And again, that's why I'm looking at it, because anything that's being mocked right now probably has some truth to it. Oh, and again, case in point, my channel. Oh, fallen angel, come tell me how you fell from grace. You're so divine. Will you ever be mine? I mean, it took a lot of courage for me to delete a channel that had over 200,000 views on it. It was a lot of work. The visuals might not be super polished on the channel, but I hope the content more than makes up for that. And always read the descriptions, always. Sometimes I put things in there that can't be said aloud to slip by censors. And by that I mean beings as well, not just computerized, apps and algorithms. Oh, fallen angel, come tell me how you fell from grace. So we go back to the chorus. Your past behind you, let the rough times fade away, not going back now. Those tarnished memories fade to gray. So let me hold you, I know what you're going through. Scorned and broken, my sad and broken seraphim. Which is weird there. It talks about let your memories fade to gray. I've talked about this, about all the YouTubers that were doing those color blindness glasses videos. Either we have a large amount of colorblind people out there that we didn't know before. They're lying, and it's a coded message, or both. And again, I think it's both. It is said that Sasquatch and dogs have a lot in common in that arena, that they're both colorblind, but Sasquatch hates dogs because they can sniff them out. Most wicked beings do not like dogs. And I'm a little, I don't know if I should even do a short video on this high strangeness, but this new dog, she walks by the closet, and I tell her, no, you're not allowed in there. I don't consent or whatever. And she listens. And I sprayed vinegar yesterday. I was using it to clean some glass, and she ran and hid. And we've talked about vinegar being a repellent for the fallen angels. So again, are there bits of truth in all of these legends and folk tales and fairy tales and mythology? All the stuff that we're told was false and not real and not true. So then we get back to that part. So we're going to move on. The next song, and again, some of this gets weird, and that's why we're going to segue into the RPG game, because that's when things get very strange. Broken Halos, Fallen Angels by Skeptic. Now, I looked this one up. I think I'm going to actually listen to this one. This gets weird, okay? I tried to do them in order of relating to this world type of material to getting into the bizarre occultish references, okay? There's so many dimensions with so many doors, so many realms, so many portals to walk through. So many haphazardly open them all. Stronghold. Yes, they're teaching demon summoning through books that are marketed and geared towards children, and I don't want to say dumbed down, but they are at that reading level of like a fourth grader, and it's talking about summoning demons. What? No, why would you buy that for your child? Like even if you didn't believe, first of all, if you didn't believe, shouldn't be on your radar. A Christian is definitely not going to buy that. So who's buying that? Who's buying that? And you say, oh, well, it's no big deal. It's fake. Well, so why get it for them? Get them something they're going to learn about this real world then, like counting or kindness and sharing. Why are you getting them a book about summoning demons? There's something wrong here in this place now. And again, I don't have all the answers, but I am trying to do my part to help. If you understand the verbiage being used and you like the topic, especially on this video, please give it a thumbs up. Because again, this is a semi-regular thing I do, but I'd like it to be a more regular thing. And it will probably be in shorter bits, bite-sized things, anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes, hopefully. If you want them in streams, we could do that too. So we've talked about people opening portals, and you also have allegedly, again, I don't think CERN is what we're told it is at all. I think the words that they use, we have to pay attention to. They use words that most people don't know what they mean, so they don't really care what it means. Most people aren't paying attention. Again, I've told you the truth is all there, but it's veiled. It's not openly stated, and I can understand that to a degree, especially with the wicked things, but even with some of the secret knowledge about spiritual evolution, certain people aren't ready for that yet. But again, that's why Christ spoke in parables, and most of those people, like if they come to my video, if they're not ready for some of this information, they're just going to walk away confused and forget all about the channel to begin with. And I've said prayers that actually happens. So let's continue. So many haphazardly open them all, revolving in between the finite and forever, beyond. Don't speak of the devil to your Ouija board or read between the lines scribbled over the floor. That is something you see in horror movies a lot. You'll see like the kids all go to a cabin or an abandoned house to do a paranormal video. In fact, I just had one on yesterday. And they lift up the rug, and there is a seal of summoning, or, whatever it is to do. Whatever seal it is. So don't speak of the devil to your Ouija board or read between the lines scribbled over the floor, because and that's what it means. It's saying Ouija board or read between the lines scribbled over the floor. Whatever these things are you're doing, you're summoning things. Because when you're preaching to the choir, you don't have to admit that what you're feeding to the mucker is a carcinogen. So spit it out. Again, some artists are very creative in their lyricism, and I love it. I think it's cool. A lot of this music, Christians or Christian type of people would not look at, okay? And we can't play it anyway for copyright reasons, but we can look at the lyrics, and there are things to be learned there from places that you would never look. You wouldn't listen to death metal, right? I wouldn't tell you to. Again, it's very low vibration. It will bring your frequency down to such a point as to where and you can actually hear it vibrate, right? So there's a reason for all of these things. When you come to your senses, you spit it all out. Time to take it and chew it up and spit it all out. You can save all your prayers because they fall on deaf ears. Fallen angels, when you come to your senses, you spit it all out. Time to take it and chew it up and spit it all out. And when they were talking about the carcinogen up there, it reminded me of the covenant or the vow. I've published that before a couple of times on both channels. Other people have ran with it. I think it's awesome. It's something I just found online. It says the covenant of the fallen angels, and it talks about them basically feeding us poison to us and our children, and by the time we catch on, it will be too late. But again, we know what the Bible says. Poison shall pass your lips, but it shall do you no harm. You shall take up snakes, but the venom shall not hurt you. Disease, dis-ease, you are at dis-ease. Okay? The Bible tells us, and I know some of you don't care what the Bible tells us, but at the same time, that covers the disclaimers right there, just by saying that part. That the Bible says certain things, okay? It's a book, and if you're mad at what it says, you're mad at the book, not at me, right? But it tells us a lot of these things in its own way, but it can't say everything either, right? And you can't fit all of creation into a book. That is meant to be a guide. It is meant to guide us and to tell us our true story when you're ready to hear it. The first time you read it, it's very superficial. It's a historical document, right? We found out that allegedly a lot of the things in the book have taken place. Now, some people, and I thought this too, if you look at the KJV, you can almost say, man, this is made up, it ain't real. And some of it I do believe in there is spell work. And again, we've gotten into that a little bit. But nonetheless, there is truth in all places, and these are places you might not look immediately, right? And a lot of death metal talks about Christianity, not always in bad ways, okay? And again, I believe there's more being said here. Death is not what we think it is. It is not permanent. And whenever something ends or dies, something else is born, all right? And again, this is all leading to that, too. Did something happen at the eclipse? Was there a massive event that a lot of people had spirits that ascended? And why are we obsessed with things like fallen angels if they're not real? These broken halos all fall away. These spoken hymnals all should the same. These fallen angels, they've crawled through hell. They know a secret, but they'll never tell. What is the secret? When the celebrities say, shh, don't tell, what is the secret they're not supposed to tell? If you dig into that, what is the actual secret? And why are we called useless eaters? Do they not eat? Huh. Funny that. Angels don't have to eat. Are we fallen angels? Ourselves? Is this a divisive tactic? Has all of this already happened and we're all kind of in a Truman Show and this is the last generation of this age and they're just waiting for the rest of us to pass our tests and graduate? I don't know. There's a lot of options, guys. I don't have all the answers, but we should be looking at the options. Let's gather everyone, circle round. Don't speak of the devil to your Ouija board or read between the lines scribbled on the floor. Let's gather everyone, circle round a pentagram chanting and make believe that we can hear the voices of the damaged. I think that probably says damned. The page is turning to a lesson you trust. Huh. They're turning into Armageddon as we're getting lost. Armageddon is actually a place. Because when you're preparing to the choir, you don't have to admit that what you're feeding to the mucker is a carcinogen, so spit it out. You can save up all your prayers. They fall on deaf ears. So we get back to the bridge and the chorus again. Okay, so the next one. Oh. This one is Fallen Angel, and I had to include this one. Again, that you saw how many were on the list, over thousands and thousands. So I couldn't do them all. I thought the time on this one was interesting, 222. 3 people have looked at this. Trinity number. Fallen Angel 2018, big year of change for me, and it's what that the voicemail that Tyler the Kid about the missing Malaysia plane, that's the year they point to, April 2018. It says they will take over, they're not human, evacuate. And so we've talked about that as well. The pain in my mind just won't end. The thoughts that I have only seem to derail everything inside of my heart. Alone I'll survive and see through to the end. I thought this was interesting because a lot of us could relate. All that I know soon will end. I have been seeking out unspoken words to begin. Everyone I know are fake friends. Alone I'll survive and see through to the end. All I know is I'm alone, feel the cold inside my bones. It's a different kind of feeling. I know that my heart is chillin'. All these girls the same and nothing ever changes. And again, this is probably a rap song. I don't even know. The date caught my eye and the lyrics kind of resonate as a person living through this age. I just don't feel right, so I might end tonight. Shedding all my tears, no one ever knows how you feel till you're gone. Can't face my fears, my darkness consumes my all in the end. I'm a fallen angel. Yeah, wake up to your face, stand up, muck a pace. What I wanted just so happened to be you. Couldn't picture a single moment without you. Now I'm thinking back through all the memories, all the promises failed, the broken heart you walked on. I mucked up, messed up in my head. Everybody just left me with no soul. Every day that I wake up, I feel like the walking dead. Again, it's a rap song, I believe, but it should hit home for a lot of us who are just feeling really tired at this time, right? Because I'm tired of these feelings that are stuck inside my head and I'm feeling like a death trap. I'm tired, or I tried and I'm tired, but my brain keeps me awake because that witch always be wired. Stupid witches just be tripping in the moonlight. Shorty thought we was cool, but we ain't tight. The cold air trying to give me frostbite, standing here and freezing. I know that it just ain't right. I'm a fallen angel. And again, a lot of us can relate to the lyrics there. Now, this one's, again, this is a death metal band. I looked them up. I'm going to have to look up a few videos on YouTube because I'm intrigued by some of the titles. Obviously, the symbology on the... Oh, come on, don't start with me. Can you just go away? Well, I'll have to do it after the video, and then if it's really interesting stuff, we can do a deep dive. So this says it's the third single by the American rock band Black Veil Brides, and the first single from their second album, Set the World on Fire. The song is inspired by the biblical story told in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, in which Satan and 1/3 of God's angels rebelled against God, starting a war in heaven, and were therefore cast out of heaven to the earth, becoming fallen angels. Okay? The story was introduced to Andy Biersack and the Black Veil Brides by their band artist, Richard Villa. The timing's interesting. The year is interesting. 2011, 3 minutes and 44 seconds. 300 views. Drop the 0 in gematria, so you have another 3 there. That's actually, the 3s are encompassing the 4, 33, 44. Cultic numbers, to be sure, but they all were God's first. Nobody stayed. Oh, I feel so bad. So this one, scream, shout, we are the fallen angels. Now this one gets very interesting. We are the in-between, cast down as the sons of war. Struck to the earth like lightning on this world, we're torn. We will cause the pain of living out there. Love, take joy in who you are. We know how wings are flown. We're bored to death in heaven and down alone in hell. We only want to be ourselves. Isn't that interesting? Be ourselves, and they like attention. And Los Angeles, the Lost Angels, and American Idols. America is Babylon. We are run by these principalities and these spirits. We scream, we shout, we are the fallen angels. Too lost to see the road, no need to feel the sorrow. We scream, we shout, we are the fallen angels. Follow the morning star on a land when darkness failed. The passion left unholy. Now you found yourself. We have nowhere to go. No one to wish us well. A cry to find a home. Our stories they will tell. We're bored to death in heaven and down alone in hell. We only want to be ourselves. So this band is singing from the fallen angel perspective, persona. It seems like they're living out that persona. It would probably be an interesting band to do a deep dive into and find out about their lives or their stories to see what's in that. We scream, we shout. This goes back into the chorus and the bridge. But again, very, very interesting. Now, what are we at as far as time goes? All right, this has been an hour. I think I'd really like to do a live with just this game. If anyone wants to see a live on just this game, Nephilim, occult role-playing, give you a little preview. It says right here on the first page, usually the blank page, this game is not real. Huh. They felt like they had to say that. Nephilim, occult role-playing. The breath of the flute player. Does it belong to the flute? By Rumi. Interesting. I play the flute. I haven't looked at this in forever. I thought I lost it. We looked at it on the other channel briefly. Again, it is in an effort to see what the fascination is with these beings. Nephilims are the hybrids. They are the progeny or the, offspring of the fallen angels and human women, allegedly, if you believe in that. And it gets right into the game here. Actually, it tells you who to credit for what here. We've got a couple of magical seals there. Now, let me just state that as well. Seals are used for a reason. They are not good or bad, unless they're the seal of a particular spirit that has went wicked. Because each spirit, like each person, has a seal. It is, for all intents and purposes, their name. Okay? It is how they write their name, pretty much. So when you have that seal, when you put it somewhere, it could be considered to be a call to them. Now, there are some seals that are very generic, like the pentagram, which is used in neutral, good, and wicked practices. So it is a symbol. It is not wicked or... However, when you put it on the beginning of a game like this or a book, it makes me wonder, are you putting that there as a good luck, as a totem, as a talisman, as a warning, or is it meant to do something to the reader, to the player, to the person watching or participating in this game? So because this video was supposed to be all about songs, I don't know if I should even continue this one. There's 2 people here now. Maybe I'll just keep going for a few minutes, and then we can look at it later, deeper, in depth. So we did the song portion, and we're segueing into Nephilim because I found this role-playing game in the phone that I had, and we looked at briefly on the other channel. Now, the people, the characters that created this game, that are credited with the game itself, are interesting. Their names are interesting. You always want to look at that type of thing. I was checking out Damien Eccles and seeing what he was up to, and I noticed that his partner wrote something about him on his website, I guess like a tribute kind of thing, but almost like a mission statement too, and she referred to him as her, and it was long before any of this was going on, and Damien still presents as a male, so not quite sure what's going on there. But again, these things are all being done for a reason. I don't know if we've walked into the looking glass or if they're trying to turn it into the looking glass, like terraforming this place so it's more welcoming for darkness, And I'm open to talk about that stuff. So I don't have anything set in stone as far as what I think is going on right now. I'm just trying to do my part in seeking answers. We are told God himself, herself, conceals a thing. It is a king's job, or a queen, I believe, again, to search out the answer. Things are not based on gender like that, and the Bible is writ like he everywhere. Did they do that purposely? I don't know. Maybe it was easier to just, do that with every individual in the book, pretty much, period. I don't know. But I know that it doesn't resonate, some of it, like that. I know that it is applicable to our lives, no matter whether we are man, woman, or child, okay? So we get right into it here. It gives the credits, okay? And all this stuff is based in, I wanted to show you this. This is wild. Okay, so if you go down here, it says Nephilim is published by Chaosium. Okay, so it's the word chaos with an "eum" at the end. Chaosium Incorporated. Okay, I would like to know what that IUM suffix is then. Like, what does that usually mean? Because we have it in what? Museum. An ism is usually like a belief or a faith, a group that, so, Nephilim was originally published in France by Multisim. Multisim. Gee, that's interesting. Multisim. So we have multi-simulations happening down here. What happens? What if the Greek gods played a board game? Wasn't that actually in one of those old 70s movies? Wasn't it human beings they were playing chess with? This is why you have to claim your sovereignty and your free will. I think we're supposed to a point. We're supposed to choose to go along with how nature is set up and not transgress against the nature of a being, because our maker wants abundance for us. And when we go against those things, it's not because our maker wants to ruin things for us. It's to bring abundance our way. When you operate and function in the way that you're meant to, in the way that nature is meant to, and you're in harmony with your other fellow beings, good things happen for you and abundance will come to you. If you're breaking the rules and going against nature, that has to even itself out somehow. So you're going to get some type of flashback, backlash, whiplash effect in your life from transgressing against the nature of a thing or a being. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so again, always look at the publishers, go back to the source and see who is giving us this information, right? Where did they get all this information? And why are they immediately using seals and telling us this game is not real? I feel like I'm being gaslit already, right? I mean, you don't have to agree, but it's just my life. So it's published by Chaosium. It was originally published in France by Multisim. It came out in 94, which is wild because 95 is when I moved to Ohio and life got strange, but it got really, really strange in 2017. And it says it was adapted, copyright, all that type of stuff. But Chaosium and Multisim, very interesting, okay? And I think I want to say there was another name. Oh, it says, now for a game that said it wasn't real, right, at the beginning on what's usually the blank page, right here it says, visit Chaosium's webpage at, Sirius.com. There's that reference to Sirius. Chaosium HTML, join the Nephilim discussion list by sending your email. Subscribe to Nephilim Digest. Now, wait a second. Aren't we still on, like, the publishing house and the creators and all the credits? Why are they talking about it if it's, if it's not real? Why is there a discussion board? Well, they have those for a lot of RPG games. But again, I found certain little things to be true. Just like those Angel and Vampire series that I had that Amazon wouldn't let me order and I had to order from elsewhere. You guys know that story. But we found out that the Nephilim, certain Nephilim, certain genesis of them or whatever, do not care for vinegar, and they do not like real lavender, allegedly. And I cannot grow lavender here in Ohio for anything. Let me just be clear about that. So at the beginning here, let me read it to you because it's hard to read. Our encounter with the Duke of Saint Armand, and Armand is also, it's a French name, it's a common French name, and it's used a lot in Interview with the Vampire books. We met the Duke, and I think he might have been called that in her books too, which is, again, you have all these crossovers too. We met the Duke of Saint Armand one hot summer afternoon in 1990. Laden with the heat, we sought refuge in the cool nave of Notre Dame. It might have been the setting or the stony gargoyles, but this place is where we feverishly thought of the first few lines of Nephilim. The passionate discussion had been going on for hours when we noticed a man of indeterminate age, dressed in old-fashioned clothes, who slowly but tactfully involved himself in our conversation. We shortly fell silent to listen to him speak. In a few sentences, he brought light to our flamboyant but confused ideas. We had just met that mysterious character, the self-styled Duke of Saint Armand. We would like to thank him for letting us consult his secret and labyrinthine library, meaning he had a huge library like a maze, without which we would never have written Nephilim. We also would like to thank those who have crossed our path, those who inadvertently turned up, the master of the three moons. The master of the three moons, that's actually a reference to Hecate, who is a female, which we were going to look into because we're seeing a lot of her symbology everywhere right now. So we're going to get into that too. This is strange how you have all these synchronicities that pop up. You often see that, though. The same characters pop up in the same... Obviously, she's going to pop up in a Nephilim story. Maybe, not necessarily, right? Hecate. Like, it's an occult thing. She's an occult witchcraft type of goddess, or whatever you want to call her. Some people would call her a demon if you're Christian. I'm somewhere in between there. I don't agree that all beings are demons. Just because they're not human doesn't make them a demon. So they would not have wrote this book if they had not met this person or seen his library. And it says, those who have inadvertently crossed our paths, and the master of the moon, the alchemist, the theosopher of Queribus, the Zen monk of Bethune, and the talking yellow dog. That's funny. Again, when I was binging on the serial killer paradigm, because I believe there are clues there, breadcrumbs to follow, it talks about, who was it? Son of Sam believed that his neighbor's dog was talking to him and told him to do the things that he did, allegedly. And you hear a lot about people saying that demons can take over dogs and astral projection into animals. Now, in witchcraft, that is called the familiar spirit of the witch. There is some bond, something that creates a bond between them, and she then borrows that being's eyes and looks from them. You see this a lot in Native American mythology, too, with birds and thunderbirds and crows and ravens sometimes, too. But you also see crows and ravens with saints. So again, we have to be very careful when pointing at things and saying good or bad. So this might be an RPG game, but we're seeing already that there's a lot of stuff here that's strange, right? It's a little weird. Now, this is the foreword, and again, I don't know that I can put this in another format so that it fits the page, but you can just read along and know that it's here, and I'm not lying to you. It says, oh, and please do give the video a thumbs up if you like the topic, and if you weren't here to see the segue, I might end this before I get into this actual game and do a stream devoted just to this game tomorrow, or maybe a video later tonight, but I think it would need a stream. The foreword says, I felt honored yet embarrassed when the editor of the present work asked me to write this foreword. It is an honor to be awarded the function of guide, to be the lantern in the hand of the hermit for courageous people who choose to traverse the dangerous and devious path of the occult and esoteric. It is nonetheless embarrassing to confirm that the occult, essential of all things, can be the basis for a game, despite the fact that most of us humans hide from this realization, either consciously or not. The world that surrounds us is full of signs that enlighten those who can but read them. Interesting. Mars is red like blood. The sun shines like gold. The moon follows a cycle like that of women. We can ask ourselves if the likeness indicates a hollow comparison or reveals something that runs strong and deep within us all. For a moment you can guess at the labyrinth behind the confusion. You may have the foreboding feeling that a significant coincidence hides behind simple chance. You glimpse at a new reality, one that cannot blind, or no, one that can blind. We cannot help these observations. Nephilim is a result of these explorations. Antoine, Duc de Saint Armand, Chateau de Moulins, August 92. So allegedly that is true, and this is how they were able to create the book or the game and all the material that goes along with this alleged game. Now here's the table of contents, and I might end it here. That way anyone interested can tune in for the next live stream. And again, most of the videos that are going to be doing a song, it will just be one song at a time or a couple where I point something out or I make an observation. And, you know, of course, I ask all of you for your feedback. But again, we're trying to find commonalities. We're trying to pick at that thread of commonality because usually that's where you find truth. So here, what does this game, alleged game, entail? So we have the introduction, elements of role-playing, metric conversion, which math is a huge thing for these beings. They are much better at it than any human could ever hope to be, because allegedly they were there when God created all of this and set everything in motion using numbers. History of the Nephilim, page 11, and it's highlighted. Before all is also found on page 11. The end of the compromise. Part 1, past lives. Now you start to create your character that you're going to be, but it gives you an option from all of these beings, okay, for character creation. And then it gets into past lives, where it talks about incarnation periods, and it talks about different time periods, which I find, I can't even tell you how fascinating that is to me. A game or not, I want to see how they are putting this together, especially if this is supposed to be allegedly from the perspective of an Nephilim being. You know, it's funny. Nephilim videos, people either love them or hate them. I wonder why that is. Then it talks about the somebody help me. Simulacrum and simulacra. Sorry. I always add an extra M in there. I don't know why. Randomly generating a human. Oh, great. Simulacrum list. So maybe we're going to get into the concept that possibly fallen angels, aka aliens, created humans. Do we agree with that? How do you feel about that, guys? What is your perspective? Again, I know there are non-Christians here. You don't have to have that worldview. What is your opinion, right? Let's allow these things to take us to deeper truths about our own genesis and evolution. So part 2, incarnation, where it talks about the game system. What makes up the sim? What makes up the environment, the matrix? So instead of matrix, they're using the word game system, right? They're using older words. Resistance table, skills, and potential. And again, if this was like Dungeons and Dragons, this is telling you what the attributes of the characters are, what their weaknesses are, their strength level, what principalities or what functions they operate within, things they can and cannot do, okay? But again, when this game gets into it, it gets very in-depth, and there are some strange little nuances throughout the entire game. Again, if this topic interests you, please give the video a thumbs up so I know, because I don't go back to things usually if they don't get a thumbs up. However, let me state, there's a lot of gaslighting happening everywhere, so I don't always follow that rule. If people really severely dislike something, I might dig at it and pick at it to find out what about it is bothering people, because usually that's like, it's resonating inside of you and convicting you, like, hey, don't do this anymore, or hey, you've done that in the past, or hey, this is truth, and some people, whatever it is, don't want to know that truth yet, right? And so they're repelled by it like a magnet instead of being attracted to it, right? So it talks about combat and injury. Then it talks about reincarnation and a little bit about experience and Argatha. Does that talk about reincarnation and what actually happens and how it's done? I'd be very interested if it lines up with Eddie Murphy's old movie. I've talked about this before, where they're using the Hindu bowl. Everybody's using those lately. I don't do any binaural beats, and I don't do anything with the bowls. There's something going on with that, and I won't participate. a lot of different witchcrafts, groups and sects, or what do you want to call them, as like demon worshippers, because they're not actually worshiping Lucifer. They have specific demons that they're like asking for favors and doing things for. You use bowls, you mix things up for certain things. Allegedly, you can put a consciousness into it with the frequency. And the frequency also can hypnotize you. You saw that in the movie Get Out with the teacup and the spoon. I know this because it was used to program me in a sense. I've been very blessed in reclaiming my sovereignty and coming out of that. And yes, I have met people. They look like people, talk like people, walk like people. They have some weird quirks, though. And yes, one of them did admit to me when no one else is around, because you can't have any witnesses. They did tell me that they were a fallen angel. And so I pick at this truth for a reason, because when you expose things to the light, they, number one, have to go back to the drawing board. If it's a spell or an incantation or a conjuring or something like that, if you expose it, it can no longer be used. It's of no use to them. It's broken. They have to reconfigure it, rewrite it, reconjure, resummon. All that stuff has to be done over again, and it can't be done the same way they previously did it. The second reason I expose it should be obvious, because truths, deceptions need exposed when people are being greatly deceived. And again, I've said certain secrets, I understand why they're kept. Okay, so this is about balance too. We don't want to be too extreme in this and go to one side or the other. What happens on a balance beam if you go extremely to one side or the other? You fall down, you're no longer balanced. And what is a balance beam? It is narrow. Balance is another way to look at that verse. And again, every verse has about 3 meanings at least. The world is full of double entendres. That's the whole point. But you learn that as well. Balance is the narrow way, is part of the narrow way. No thumbs up. Oh man, you guys are making me feel some type of way. I'm getting all up in my feelings, as the kids say. Combat and injury, that tells you what their weaknesses are. And again, I found strange things in books and in things about these Nephilim that talks about their weaknesses to things like vinegar and real lavender, and some of them iron. Like fairies can't, like you would trap a fairy back in the day. And I know this because I read fairy tales. Kids don't get read fairy tales anymore. There's truths in there. There's a reason that stuff was drummed into our heads, and I believe it was to teach us truths in a covert way, because they knew that schools were re-education camps. That's what schools are. That's why they're called campuses. Most of them. There are schools out there educating people in scientific ways and in ways that you can actually, you have evidence that somebody's learned something and taken it away and is applying it, like math and things like that, real skills, okay? So again, it's about being balanced. There are 2, including mine. Good morning, sister. Morning, Katia. I've missed you. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, I don't see the 2. I see 1. But they never show me the right stuff anyways. I thought a thing the other day that was showing me like I had an uber amount of views and likes for a certain video, because every time I go to like studio and I refresh, it's like something wants to pop up, but something else. It's like every app I have is fake almost. It's like 2 things try to pop up, but only 1 window actually does pop up. Again, I know about hacking and stuff. I understand the concept. I get it, but I still do what I do because I pray over all this stuff, and if the message is meant to get out to certain people, it will. Part 3 is about initiation. I find that fascinating. The magic fields, humans, and Ka vision. And again, this will teach you a lot about frequency and things of that nature. Just because truth comes from an uncomfortable source doesn't mean we should not listen at times. Does not mean we should not take that truth. It just means we need to be wary and cautious, okay? Humans in Ka vision, enthronement's astrological modifier. Occult science, occult books. Sorcery. First circle, lower magic. Second circle, higher magic. Third circle, grand secret. So whatever the secret is, maybe you learn it there. Summoning. First circle, seals. Second circle, pentacles. Third circle, keys. Interesting. And again, I do not promote fallen angel worship, but this is the same stuff you saw with John D. I do believe at one time when they were the watchers, we worked side by side. They were supposed to teach us things, okay? The problem came in our application with things and our wanting to be like them and wanting to be like God, and wanting to rush things and not understanding that in a certain way, obedience and compliance can be good qualities to have. But at the same time, when somebody is asking you to set aside values and morals that you know are of your maker, our maker, creator, parentals in heaven, heavenly parentals, when you know you're being asked to do something against them, that's where conformity ends. For me, I think that's how it should be for everybody. We are sovereign, right? And we do have a choice. We aren't victims. And while I have been a victim at times because other people made me a victim, does not mean I'm going to live in that place. I'm not going to live and wallow in sadness and darkness all of the time. But we cannot be expected to be happy and elated all of the time either. We need to be more gentle with ourselves, but more consistent in our efforts to better ourselves instead of pointing at everything outside of ourselves we have no control over. Most of it we have no control over, but we do have control over how we act, behave, and how we react and respond to how other people behave. We can't control them, but we can control our reactions and responses. So here, again, I'm not going to teach people how to summon and do things like that. What we're looking for is truths that can be found. These things have been done to summon regular angels too, angelic angels. I'm not going to tell you whether that's good or bad. That's not my say. I'm just relaying the information. Katie, yes, we change within. Our outer world changes too. Right. And your perspective has a lot to... I'm not saying everything, because as someone who's been targeted at least by a spirit of a thing, right, that bounces around all the time, I believe it is the spirit of legion. We're going to look into that as well. That word, that terminology, where did that name come from to describe this one or this group or this nest of them, because I'm seeing a lot of legion-like behavior. Some people today call that NPC behavior. You could also say legion is responsible for that. Now, that's the problem with labeling everything as a mental illness today, is that you're going to sweep people into these places, and that's what they want to do with the homeless. I've seen it in videos. I've seen it in arguments. Those people are being recorded saying that because they want to incite the public. And anyone on TV is an actor, and they have an agenda, and they're being paid to bring someone else's agenda about. Please understand that. Everyone. Even the people that I like on YouTube, the bigger people, they are there with an agenda. Some people might have a good moral agenda, a righteous agenda. But oftentimes, celebrities and things like that, and people who do have a voice, unfortunately, are given that platform because the agenda is harmful to us as spirits, okay? I don't think being like everybody else was the intention of our maker when he made us. All you have to do is look around to see that God is not into... God likes variety. Our maker likes variety, right? And just because each kind should stay with its kind does not mean that God hates us. We are beloved. And the people who have a problem with seeing that are usually people who are not parents. And all I can say to you, if you don't understand that you are beloved, is to change what you're doing. Do an experiment. Stop watching the dark videos. We know that stuff exists, allegedly. Okay, we know that stuff happens. But we cannot live in those places. It is happening in our city. The hate towards the homeless in Tent City is brutal. Yeah, and a lot of them are also there to incite people. A lot of them aren't true homeless people. You have to understand these people are being paid to bring this about. They're the same people who protest in the streets. They're the same groups that do all that stuff. Now, they want to blame George Soros, some old white man that has never aged. He's always looked like that since I was a kid. Again, this is AI. I don't even know if these people exist. I know there is a spirit or a thing hiding behind those people, like Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. We are dealing with Legion. That's why everybody says the same type of things to us, because they're glicking to that. They're defaulting. Let's use computer terminology. They're defaulting to that programming. And for some reason, praise God, it's not happening to everybody. I still fall into it sometimes. I see myself sometimes going with the masses and agreeing with them, and then I'm like, wait a second. Are you sure this is you? Is this what you really believe or think to be true? We have to be mindful of what we're watching now, too, because Katie is right. You could say either one, it's always been this way and people just for some reason are more powerful, or two, God is teaching us a lesson. I prefer to go with the latter. God is teaching us a lesson. When you said that in another video, it stopped me in my tracks. Thank God for your wisdom and discernment, literally. Katia, because everything is on a delay, can you comment what I said that hit you like that? Just so I know? Because I love you and I'm glad to help you and make you feel good. But also because I trust your inner truth detector. So maybe it's a concept or a thing I need to look more into and bring it to the forefront and, talk about it more. So let me know. Oh, some homeless aren't homeless. Yeah, they're not. They're not. They want to incite us to this reaction. I heard on a video yesterday, it was, and again, this is what Masons do. Okay, Masons, if you want to know how they operate, or allegedly Masons are behind all this, Skull and Bones, Illuminati, all the same thing, whatever. I don't personally flipping care. I just want them to stop and let people evolve naturally and have the lives they're going to have. If we have to be here together, they need to quit looking down upon us as useless eaters, because that's simply not true. If it's the fact that we are not educated properly, or we're not educated in truth, and they have true secret occult knowledge, maybe they should stop hoarding it so that we could start to ascend as well. See, but they don't want to leave this place. And they know that if all the human beings leave this place, or at least this area, this frequency of this place, because I believe we're all still here, we're just on different frequencies. And God, the creator, maker, is waking a lot of people up, giving them NDEs, giving them downloads of information. And there are people denying it, saying it's all technology from the government. Look, all I'm going to say about that is there's a verse in scripture that reminds me of that every time. I'm not saying those things don't exist. I'm saying there's no need to do it to this many people. I think it is AI. I think we've had cameras on us our whole lives. And I think when we start to wake up, it makes the hair on the back of our neck stand up, because we know we're being watched. And I think it makes us feel some type of way, right? And it produces... I don't think everyone has a specific person, human being, targeting them. There's a verse, it reminds me of when people say that this is all V2K, that none of it's real. You weren't given any, like they're specifically out there saying, if you feel like you were given a mission or a purpose during your NDE, that's not real, it's demonic. Why would you say that to people? Why would you want to bring them down? Not everything is a demon or wicked. And I have a Christian worldview. And I learned from Buddhists. I learned from Muslims. Not all of them. Not all of their beliefs. But I don't point at them and say, you're a flippin' demon. Like, I'm just not going to do that. At one time, we were meant to learn from them, and they were called watchers. And I believe we told that story through Greek mythology. And mythology does not mean false. It does not mean folklore. Mythology is another word for history. But we've been taught all these things are false. We have to look into words and the way they're being used, especially if you're still watching the media. You have to understand that most of the stories are them passing information to each other and inciting the public at this time. They want all groups against each other. Black, white, man, woman. You're seeing a high degree of degradation to the female at this time. I call it the divine feminine, because I believe we bring life here. Hello. But I don't think that makes us better either. I think it makes us different, but we're all, I don't want to say deserving of respect, but we should all be given the space to live out our particular dream or reality as long as it's not doing harm. And that's the problem with hoarding information or knowledge like this, is that it's keeping people from true abundance, prosperity, and growth. And I mean those in a spiritual way, but also in a physical way. We're in this physical world to enjoy it. We were spirit in some manner. I think we're eternal. Did God just make us from nothing though? No, he used pieces of us, pieces of the earth. He used stuff he had lying around in the garage, man. And we are fearfully and wonderfully made. But I think we're condemned a lot, and I think we're down on ourselves a lot, and we think we're horrible because we're told we are. I think our power is taken away from us. Things that can amplify that, our true rituals, were taken from us, and we were told that they were evil and wicked because they don't want us having that strength. They don't want us knowing how to do certain things, because then we would have a fighting chance. This way, we're all in darkness and ignorance. God's children perish for a lack of knowledge. Knowledge is not wicked. So then it gets into sorcery, okay? So it's telling you these are initiations, okay? So if you are initiated into the, first it's going to tell you about the magic field and occult science. Then it's going to tell you about different areas, right? So sorcery and alchemy. And then it gets into the exoteric, the occult world, secrets, secret societies, sacred places, game master characters, NPCs, non-player characters, page 207. Game master Nephilim, which would be like the what are they called on D&D? Not the gatekeeper, the dungeon master or something like that. It's like the banker on Monopoly, okay? Give me a break here. I'm trying to relay what I think are truthful concepts, but they're they're set up in a game. And the last thing here is bestiary, the Chronicle of Awakenings, index and bibliography. Okay, so allegedly this is all a game. I would love to find this game, to buy this game. I would check this game out. Now people say don't even have D&D games in your house. And they've told people, like, if you had anything New Age, to burn it. And I told you what I was beginning to think about books. There's a camper, right? He wears a mouthpiece. It's pretty obvious. And he's also, so he's got the problem there, which we've talked about, being in a psalm of God's enemies, about something David said, a poem I read out loud and noticed, hey, everybody that's against me seems to have this same affliction. So there's this camper, and you guys know I love those channels, the stealth camping. Let me be clear about this too. A lot of these YouTubers, they're allowed to travel all over for a reason. A lot of them are military. And I believe a lot of them are involved in what's going on right now in our country. And some have consciences. Some feel guilty. I've seen them talk briefly on YouTube. And you can tell that they're kind of apologizing for something that's coming. So I believe that they know what's going on, and they know what they're doing. And they've signed on for it. So at some point in time, they did know what they were doing. Now, though, Legion kind of takes over, and, at least for me, when I talk about anything important, or I'm being tested, or they want to know certain things around me, like I said, as soon as I answered certain questions wrong when I was out in public, like, that was it for the job. It was gone. Okay, so what time is it? I'm going to end this stream now, and we'll do the whole next live stream about this game and stuff I find in it. If you guys comment and say that you like it and you want to get into it. But again, I segued into this just to check into it and show you how obsessed our society is with this stuff. Quickly, do you have to make a comment, Katie? What's up? Oh yeah, but I believe that the stealth campers, they're doing what they're doing for a reason, dude. They're promoting that for a reason. I've changed my phone plan. Okay. Does that mean you can or cannot get online? I have 1,000 minutes international. But is that just for voice or data too? Does it cost you? Oh, no, it's not supposed to. If you want to have a chat, no, it shouldn't. Shoot me an email. Probably. Shoot me an email. Awesome. Yeah, shoot me an email. artistlady03@gmail.com. I still use it for now. It's got tons of spam though. Awesome. All right, if you guys want to check out this actual game and see what it's about, let me know. Again, I found truths in certain things like this. We did look at this on the other channel. And again, it does go along with why is everyone obsessed with these fallen angel things. So in the next series of songs, I'm probably going to do a gang stalking type video just to be quirky. And again, the regular installments won't be over like 10-15 minutes long at the most. If I find a whole bunch of songs about the same thing and we need to do like a deep dive, it'll be like this. It'll be a longer live stream. But from now on, I'm going to try and schedule music uploads, song uploads for Mondays and do like a truth in music type segment. I've done them before, but this will make it more streamlined and scheduled, make the algorithm happy, and plus I have a playlist of those, and they're always fun. You guys seem to enjoy the songs. But if you want to look into this game in the next live, we could do it tomorrow early morning. Winter's a downtime for me, unfortunately. I like the outside. I don't do a whole lot outside in the winter here. I just don't have the gear for it. I don't have warm weather stuff that I should have to be out there for so very long. I still ride my bike and I still do walks, but right now I'm paying off that bike. So one thing at a time, meaning I have time to do live streams in the mornings. So if you guys want to talk about this game in the next one, let me know. Shoot me an email, Katia, and if you did like the video, please consider giving the video itself a thumbs up. Just lets me know if these topics are things you guys want to talk about. And please do comment and give feedback on these things so we can have an open dialogue. I'd rather not have an echo room and just be talking to myself. All right, guys, we'll talk soon.